So in the second week of our class, I really want to hammer out what we call polyline grading. Now, to me, this is the best way to learn how to grade. This is very similar to pencil and paper. And instead of pencil, you're drawing out polylines, and instead of paper, you're using AutoCAD. And this to me is this is how I learn. And I was able to really get an intuitive sense of how the contours are supposed to shape out, the way they're supposed to wrap around, which direction they will go. And I'm forever grateful for it because I see a lot of young people who start out grading, and since they work at a fast-paced industry and their managers don't want to sit down and teach them how to grade, they just go ahead and show them the automation tools. In this academy, you're going to hear there's a bunch of tools that you can use to grade, and I divide them up by either manual tools or automation tools. The manual tools are, for example, polylines, adding a boundary, pasting surfaces, and so on. Automation tools, I would consider corridors, feature lines, grading groups, and these tools do the grading for you by just selecting a few buttons. It'll draw out contours for you. And don't get me wrong, I use it all the time. It increases the speed. It makes the surface look better and cleaner. The problem is that now you are relying on the computer to do the work for you. And what ends up happening is that you have a lot of young people, or even people with PEs, that are so reliant on the computer to do the grading for them that they have no idea how to make sure it's correct. Right? Think about back then before GPS, when people knew what roads to take. For example, go down Main Avenue, make a right on Fake Street, go two blocks down, and you'll find the church. Now we don't do that because we have the GPS, so we lost our sense of directionality. And we just drive around having no idea what road we're in or what direction we're going because it's no longer needed. So I see the same thing happening here with grading, that a lot of people just lose that ability to do quality check on the surface. And they have no idea what a good surface looks like. And maybe throughout the years, you'll eventually get it. But I think it'll be a lot quicker for you to first start doing polyline grading, develop that intuitive sense of how the contour is supposed to look, and then start using automation tools. And that is truly how you become a great engineer, because there's plenty of people out there who can just press buttons and see something happen on CAD. What truly is going to make you different is the ability to check the computer, is to check, hey, are these automation tools correct? Because even though the automation tools are pretty good, they're flawed. They make mistakes all the time. So they don't tie into the assistant ground perfectly. They have floating contours, the boundaries cutting it off, the cross sections, sometimes it's messed up. I've seen plenty of times that feature lines are going from 2% to 1,000% to negative 1,000% back to 2%. And possibly the surface won't show it, but nevertheless, the surface is still wrong. And it's your job to make sure that the surface is right. And lastly, if you over rely on the computer for your design, what happens when it's riddled with mistakes? And let's say the product manager, and that was me when I was working in the big company, is redlining your work. And I ask him, why did you design it this way? Why did the contours are diving down at 2:1 in this area? Or why did you make this decision? Or even worse, what if you're in a meeting and the client is asking you questions about your design? And your answer is going to be, well, that's how the computer spit it out. That's how CAD graded it for me. And to me, that's the best way to design it. And the reason why you're saying that's the best way to design it is because you have no other answer. Because you have no idea what the computer did. You just press buttons and it did the grading for you. So That's what I fear is going to end up happening, especially as these automation tools are going to get exponentially better with the integration of AI. But that's a whole nother topic for later. I'm not too worried about AI just yet because AutoCAD is a monopoly at the end of the day. So they have no incentive to make their product better. But there will be a point where the shareholders are going to instill so much pressure. Why is AI not a bigger part of Autodesk Civil 3D and all your different products? And eventually they'll play catch up. And what that's going to do is that AI is going to be able to make these tools better. So in the future, you're going to have to be checking AI. And the only way you can do that is to develop an intuitive sense of how these contours are supposed to look. And I promise you the best way to do that is with polyline grading. But enough of my sermon. I am going to go ahead and just start doing polyline grading and just show you one of the advantages of learning how to, oh my God, learning how to do it that way. So what I want to do first is recognize my constraints. Always, always, always know what my constraints are. Now, this site plan is highly simplistic. Normally in the real world, we have easements, we have wetlands, we have buffers, we have setbacks, we have a landscape strip, we have zoning conditions, and we have a lot of stuff to consider, a lot of constraints. But this is week 2, so I don't want to overwhelm people. So I just want to do the biggest constraint is our existing road right here. We can't raise it, we can't lower it, we can't change it, we have to tie into it. So what I want to do, and every time I start out grading a new development, I want to grade the main road and all the roads, but we just have one road for this development, as close as I can to the EG. Now I know my grading extent will be, here, let me just start here and do an extension. Really, this should go to the radius return. But everything on this side I cannot change, but on this side I can. I can go ahead and change the contours. I always start high to low. If you go low to high, you're going to end up running out of room. And that'll make more sense as you learn grading more and more. This elevation is 324. I am going to go ahead and spit it out this way. Come back here. And I am going to slash. I'm going to just tie it into the right of way and then meet it back here. And right here, I'm creating a high point. Next, I'm just seeing where the contour here hits the right of way. And I'm going straight across. And I'm just tying back in. Now, really what I'm telling the contour to do now is, for example, you have this 324 coming here, wrapping around, hitting the existing road. And then now I'm telling it, instead of doing all of this, go ahead and follow my contour. So boom, 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 and then it's going to spit back out and continue on its way right here. I'm just redirecting where this line is going. Same thing here. It's coming down, doing a little loop, and then boom, boom, and then continue on your way. I'm going to go ahead and grab this one. Meet it here. Right here. And what I'm doing, I'm just quickly grading, and I'll do it here. Quickly grading my road to be as close as, I'm pretty close to the existing ground. And there you go, we have graded in our road. The next thing I'm going to do is, I know I'm going to go ahead and grade these houses too. The goal is So the goal, the strategy here is to grade the existing road as close as we can to the existing ground. I'm sorry, to grade our proposed road as close as we can to the existing ground, so we can go ahead and grade these houses and see our earthworks number. Now, I'll get into more detail about that a little bit later, but I'm just going to go ahead and start grading these houses as well. Now, I know that I want this house to sit above the entrance to this driveway. Why? Because I want this house, the water to drain away from the house, right? I don't want water draining towards the house. And you'll see this sometimes in real life where you have this area pitching down towards the house, and they'll install inlets all along the front of the house to capture the stormwater. But I really hate that design because now you're reliant on those inlets to not fail. And if they fill up and a massive storm comes, they fill up or they get clogged, now you have water bypassing that inlet and going into the house, which can lead to flooding. And if I can do something about that to avoid it, I will. And that is just simply raising this house to be above the road. So because I know I want the house to be above the road, I'm going to go ahead, break this contour, and I am wrapping this contour, and I'm just typing in reverse. You saw what happened there. I wanted to add a vertex, and when I press add, I can do it here by pressing A, it wants to put a vertex in between these two vertices. But if I do reverse, if I press A on this side now it just spits it out to the other end. And it's a lot easier to control those polylines. And I know it's going to wrap around like this. Okay. Next, I want to, because the reason why I'm wrapping around is right here, 323.92. This is 324. So the way I like to visualize this is that this is the border in between two nations. This nation right here is called less than 324, and this nation over here is called more than 324. So I want the house to be on more than 324. And if I do this, then the house is in less than 324. I know that's kind of silly, but I don't know, that helped me. I don't know if that's going to help you, but we'll see. Now, the same thing here. I recognize that, actually, okay, now I'm good. I recognize that I want this contour to wrap around the house because I want this elevation to be higher than here. So I'm doing the same thing. And then I realized, wait, this is the same elevation as this one. Let me change it to make sure it's right. 223. So I need to wrap this contour around the house like this. But this doesn't make any sense. We know that contours don't cross each other. So what that tells me is that actually these two are going to connect. So I can go ahead and connect these two. There you go. And right here, this driveway is roughly 110 feet. And what I'm indicating here is that the house is going to sit 1 foot above the start of the driveway, which means 1 foot elevation difference divided by 110, y divided by x. My slope of the driveway is going to be less than 1%. And I want to definitively have water draining away from the house. So I want two contours to slash across the driveway to ensure that I have at least a 2% slope. And it probably won't be 2%. It'll probably be a little bit less than 2%. But I want to go ahead and establish that. And then I realized the same thing is happening here, that these two are eventually going to connect. So we can just go ahead and join them, even though the elevations are different. You want to make sure the elevations are the same, otherwise they won't join. And then now you have these two contours. And then we have this one right here. This is 325. And the same thing applies. I want this road to be at least a foot below this house. For now, I know I just mentioned the driveways, but we're going to have to lower the road if that's the case. And I don't want to do a spoiler alert, but we might have to lower the road. Now, again, I'm just trying to capture all these houses to be in that nation above 325. And it's going to spit out like this. And now we know that these contours are going to wrap around here as well. So I'm going to reverse these two. And then let's go ahead and add this bad boy too. Now we're getting it pretty tight. I thought I just reversed you. Now we're getting pretty tight, which means that we're going to have to, in this scenario, we would have to offset and make sure the lines follow at least a 2-to-1 slope. And really in this little pocket right here, I would not be comfortable with 2-to-1 slopes. Ideally, we would talk to the architect and say, look, we need to move this building this way so we can have more room here. But architects don't like listening to us, so we're just going to go ahead and try to make it work. So now I have my road graded in. The next step is I want to enclose my houses. So what that means is, again, I'm starting high to low. So I'm going to take this 325, reverse it, and I'm going to find that 325 existing contour, which is right here. This is 325. I'm tying it into the existing ground. And look at this. Wow, that's convenient. 325 is right here. Now I'm looking for that 326, which is right here. And I'm just taking this and tying it into the existing ground here. I'm going to offset by 2 because I'm just doing 2-to-1 slopes here. I'm tying into this one, this one, this one. So I'm breaking it, breaking it, breaking it. Now, all of this might seem fast, and in class, I'll teach you a few tricks here and there, just exactly what I'm doing. But for this video, I just want to quickly show you, at least give you a glimpse of what you'll be learning in class. So 26, 26, 26. This is going to 29. So what I do is I erase lower, features, I select all 3. I erase it by 1 foot. I press previous. I deselect this one, enter, enter, previous, enter, enter, boom. This is 329. And then I cut it here, bye. Adios. You come here, bada bing, bada boom. And now we have tied into the existing ground. Now we have enclosed these houses. And we're going to do the same thing here. Now, I know here that this is 323.75, 324. I want the house to be at a high point. So that means I know that 324 contour is going to reappear behind the house. So I'm going to go ahead and take this contour and wrap it around these houses. If it wants to cooperate, add the damn vertex. There you go. There you go. I'm going to come here, and this is not perfect. This is just quick because, again, I just want to see if my main road follows the existing ground, it's the side balance. So now I've enclosed my houses. So I look at what's happening here. I know this house right here, this is 324. So the grade, the finished grade for these houses will be a little bit higher, right? Because we want some water draining away from the house. So I'll set them at 324.5, these two. And the same logic applies here. This is 325. So I'll set the houses at 325.5. Now I start looking at the existing ground. 320, 19, 18, 17, 16. I mean, we're going from 325 to 316. And since our proposed ground is from 5 to 10 feet above the existing ground, that means that this area will be fill heavy. And now I'm looking over here. This is 20. So we're going from 325 to 320, 318, and so on. So this area is also going to be fill. And now I'm looking at these houses, and this is the 25 contour. So we're a little bit cut here, meaning that our existing ground is above our proposed ground. And right here, this is 25, so we're a little bit cut here. So this area right here. So what I like to do is to pick an elevation that is going to really be, it's going to be the border in between fill and cut. And I know that the houses are going to be set in between 324.5 and 325.5. That means that I think 325 is the good border where anything above 325 will be cut, and everything, I guess, behind 325 or below 325 is going to be fill. So I'm going to go ahead without O-snaps. Just trace roughly this contour. And again, I know it's not pretty. Really, if you really want to impress me, what you would do is extract the contour from the surface and have that define as the border that we're going to do. And again, these exercises we're going to do in class, this is kind of what the structure would be. I'll talk for like about 20 minutes and then do this in class, something similar. This is a little more, I mean, it will be about this difficulty in class and just show you what the assignment will be. And then you'll do something similar, but at a bigger scale. And I'll watch you and correct you and answer questions and have everything set up for you to go ahead and give it a shot. So again, everything on this side will be fill and everything on this side will be cut. Now, the next thing I just do a quick boundary of my grading extent. So I just quickly trace every change that I've made. Go here. Boom. Oh, dang. I was going to be cute, but no. I go here and I just press close. There you go. And then for visuals, let's go ahead and change this to a global width of 1. Change this to red. There you go. Look at that. So now our site plan has been divided up. I am going to go ahead and just write this out so you can actually see where my mind is going. Of course. So our finished grade is roughly in between 324.5 and 325.5. Our existing ground in this area right here where it's going to be cut is somewhere in between 325 and 329. So that means our delta, the average in between the two, I would say is roughly about, this is 0.5, this is 4 feet, 2 feet of cut. All right, thank you for the tiny text. There you go. Cut. Very nice. And then the next thing I want to do is, and let's see how nice I am. So I just want to get the square footage of this area so I can see how bad we are. Hold on. When I do B poly, this comes up. I just select the lines, this line, and yes. Dang, I am nice. There you go. So what it's doing is just doing a nice close polyline of what's already pretty closed up. So this area right here is 63.758, which is roughly 1.5 acres. So I'm going to write that down too. 1.5 acres. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Copy. Boom. FG stayed the same, but now we remember it's somewhere in between 325 and 316. And our delta is close to about 7 feet. In this area right here, this is this much. You can press the little calculator. This is going to come up. You divide it by 43,456. That's how many square feet are in 1 acre. Press enter. 4.74. I'm just going to go ahead and do 4.75. Okay. So now we have everything we need to see if we're balanced. And it should be so clear that we are not balanced whatsoever. We have and I need to change this to fill. We have 4.75 acres of fill that the delta is average out at 7 feet. Whereas we have this little tiny area and this delta is 2 feet. So typically what I like to do here is I get my calculator and I'm going to show you real quick how awful this is. You're going to be horrified. I can tell this is going to be terrible, but let's go ahead. This is the exciting part. So we have 4.75 acres. That's our surface area. And we're trying to get a volume of this. So surface area times depth. So 4.7 acres times 7 feet. This is 33.25 acre feet volume of fill. Compared to where we're going to subtract this other area right here because it's cut. So this is 2 feet of depth times 1.5, which is 3 acre feet. And we have a total imbalance of 30.25 acre feet. Now this number is tiny because we're using acres. So let me go ahead and convert this to cubic feet. And contractors normally prefer cubic yards, so we're going to divide by 27. Now we have 48,000 cubic yards. And I want you to pause and think what this means. So that means that we have to export. We have so much dirt we have to import. We have so much dirt that we need to create this development that we have to ask either other contractors who have a lot of export, or we have to hire people to come and bring dirt into our site. So think about how many trucks we'll need to get 48,000 cubic yards. Just think, you just need a lot of dirt. We need to bring it. The only way you can bring it is with trucks. So take a moment, think about it. How many trucks will you need? Okay, here's the answer. One truck can carry 12 cubic yards of dirt, meaning we will need 4,000 trucks to make this thing work. This is unequivocally garbage. This is so bad. I mean, if you go up to a client with this tiny little site and you're going to tell him, hey, we're off by 48,000 cubic yards, he will laugh at your face. I mean, think about financially how much gas that is, especially on the date in that corner. And not only is it incredibly expensive and ridiculous, but also think about the schedule. I mean, how long is this going to take? So you're going to have a ripple effect of schedule and cost effects that is going to compound on one another. And it's terrible. I mean, this is our job. Our job is to balance out the sites. And some sites are incredibly tricky, but it's always done. It's always done. And if you're going to be a great engineer, and I promise you're going to balance out a lot of sites, and you're not going to rely on CAD to balance out the site for you. I hate that. That's one of the greatest joys in this job, is figuring out how you're going to balance the site. And I can't believe they're taking it away from us. But let's go ahead and plug and play, really. So now we understand, holy hell, we are fill heavy to the point where it's embarrassing. Now I need to lower the road so we can generate more cut and balance out the site. But by how much are we going to lower this road? So I go ahead and look at this road, and I see all of this is wow. And honestly, you can just plug and play. So the same numbers that I was playing with earlier over here. So if I change this delta from 7 to, let's say, 4, then let's try it out. Now our new delta. So let's say, okay, let me reword that. So what if we lower the road by 4 feet? Will that get us there? So that means now I'm multiplying 4.75 acres times 7 minus 4, which is 3. And it'll get us 14.25. Now I'm going to subtract over here. So now this new number is 1.5 times 2 plus 4, which is 6, right? Because we're lowering the road by 2 feet. So we're adding more cut. So 1.5 times 6 is 9. No, wait. 1.5 times 6. Am I doing this right? No, now I'm embarrassing myself in the video. I'm lowering the road by 4. It's going to generate more cut. Okay. I think, now I'm like doubting myself for some reason. Maybe it's too late. So, 1.5 times, the new number now is 6, which is 9. So minus 9, 27. Oh, what the hell? 14.25 minus 9, 5.25. We're still not balanced, so let's keep lowering this road. What if we lower it by 6 feet? So now it's 4.75 times 1, and it's going to be 8 times 1.5. We went a little bit too far. Let's go ahead and lower it by 5. So now it's 4.57 times 2 multiplied by 1.7 times 1.5 times 7, which is 10.5. 9.5 minus 10.5 is 1.3. So by just doing this simple polyline grading, I can go ahead and realize, okay, I need to lower the road by about 5 feet to make sure that we're closer to being balanced. Because even though I wasn't exactly perfect, I was a little more cut heavy. And usually that's what you want, because all this fill, when you're bringing in dirt and you're moving dirt around and you have to fill, you're going to have to compact that dirt. So you're going to need a little more cut to ensure that once they compact that fill, then it balances out. So the initial number should be cut heavy. Also, it's a lot easier to, if you have extra dirt, to spread it around and add fill in some areas. And this is also not accounting for a stormwater management pond that is just a ginormous hole in the ground. So that's also going to generate more cut. So you do have some other options if you're slightly off balance. But doing this quick polyline grading, and this video is already 35 minutes long, but if I didn't have to explain every single step, I can do this in 15 minutes. And I can figure out, okay, I need to, this initial strategy of matching the road to the existing ground is not going to work. I need to lower the road by 5 feet and I'll get a hell of a lot closer to being balanced. And this will save you so much time, because I see it time and time again. People do this strategy, which is what I've been saying, matching the road to the existing ground, and just run with it and have all the feature lines set up, all the corridors looking pretty, the profiles looking nice. You have feature lines, grading groups, everything is detailed out, and then you check the earthworks and you're way off balance. And what's going to end up happening, you have to redo a lot of work. And when you redo a lot of the feature line and the automation tools, AutoCAD gets really slow and starts bugging out. Most of the time when I have a grading plan that has a lot of feature lines and a lot of grading groups, the surface starts eating itself. It starts having gaps. It starts messing up my contours. It starts jagging all over the place. And it's because, again, these tools, these automation tools, are fairly new. So the software, the coding that CAD has, it's pretty good, but it still has its bugs. It still has its flaws. So sometimes it can't handle all that data, especially when you do intermediate points everywhere. So in this way, you avoid the many iterations that you would take if you don't do these checks. And the only way you can really do this check, in my opinion, quickly in like 15 minutes, and not have to do feature lines for everything, just draw it out real quick, is with polyline grading. And look how quickly I can just know, okay, if this house right here is at a high point, I know it's going to be two 324s splitting. And you'd be surprised. I mean, I explain it and it seems easy, but once I just hand you CAD and hand you the site plan, just go grade it, you'd be surprised how many people just stare at it not knowing how to start. And this truly, I mean, grading is an incredible skill to have, and you want to be the best at it. Honestly, it's so impressive when people know how to read contours, know how to make sure the grading is right, can just do it without much support, without coworker management support, but also AutoCAD support, because you can quickly fix problems knowing if you know how the contours are supposed to lay out, and you'll be able to anticipate a lot more things. So that is the point I'm going to keep smashing over and over again. And yeah, I hope that message will come true.